A 16-year-old boy's been killed in a crash near Bunbury. It happened at the intersection of Bustle Highway and Jamin Road just before 4 yesterday afternoon. The boy was riding a mountain bike when it collided with a grey Mitsubishi Outlander. The driver, a woman in her 40s, wasn't injured. Major crash officers are investigating. A driver who killed his friend in a high-speed crash says it was the biggest mistake of his life. Philip Nemec pleaded guilty to manslaughter after losing control of the stolen Ferrari in North Perth.
A fiery end to a reckless joyride. Driving the high-powered $500,000 Ferrari was Philip Nemec. This dashcam played during sentencing submissions today shows the luxury vehicle speeding on the wrong side of Vincent Street in North Perth, tailed by a police car. Seconds later, the Ferrari crashes into a barrier and bursts into flames. The female passenger who died had no idea the car was stolen. The court heard how 38-year-old Nemec stole the car from West Perth in May last year, but after taking it, had to use YouTube to work out how to change gears. He's pleaded guilty to manslaughter. His speeding and drug-affected, dangerous driving caused the woman's death. The court suppressing her identity because the crash wasn't her fault. Philip Nemec said at the time he felt completely capable of controlling the car, but he now accepts full responsibility for the deadly crash that killed his friend. He says it was the biggest mistake of his life. His lawyer detailed how ongoing trauma, including his friend's murder 4 years ago, has led to drug problems. Nemec will be sentenced in 2 weeks. Lee Steele for 10 News First.
Melbourne's coronavirus hotspot suburbs have been put back into lockdown as their government struggles to get on top of the COVID-19 crisis. 10 postcodes will face restrictions which will be enforced by police, with airline travel to Melbourne set to be cancelled.
This is exactly what Victoria was trying to avoid.
If we do not do this now, then I won't be locking down 10 postcodes, I will be locking down all postcodes.
Victoria has become the epicentre of Australia's coronavirus outbreak, and now it's paying the price.
That is unacceptable to me.
Victoria is recording daily infection rates not seen since the height of the pandemic's arrival in March. Genomic sequencing has revealed the bulk of the new outbreaks stem from security guards working in quarantine hotels.
Staff members in hotel quarantine breaching well-known and well-understood infection control protocols.
The Premier has launched an inquiry into how that happened and moved to avoid a repeat.
And the second thing that I have done is inform the Prime Minister that I would like him to divert all flights away from Melbourne for the next 2 weeks.
The spike has prompted South Australia to cancel its proposed border opening with Victoria in July.
We are increasingly concerned about the outbreaks which are occurring in Victoria, and so we are not in a position to remove our border on the 20th of July.
While the New South Wales Premier says her residents shouldn't see anyone who lives in a Melbourne hotspot.
That's what will keep us safe in New South Wales, and we certainly want to continue on the path we're on.
Candice Wyatt for 10 News First.
A brawl's erupted outside a shopping centre in Perth South. At least 9 people were involved in the fight, which broke out on Pace Road in Medina yesterday afternoon. One man had to be taken to Royal Perth Hospital with cuts to his arm and head, but wasn't seriously injured. Police are asking anyone with information to come forward. Time to preview sport with Tim Gossage. The AFL reigning premiers have some hub concerns.
That they do, yes. Richmond and their skipper Trent Cotchin says his club's motto is family first, suggesting there's a big chance that Tiger Time teammates won't be settling into their hub life. That is on the way. Also, it's been a horror hub for Jeremy McGovern, but the Star Eagles set to resume after a fortnight on the sidelines. But the Dockers have several sore shoulders and soldiers as they chase their first win of the season. And the Aussie set to join Ben Simmons at the 76ers as the NBA gets ready to resume. I'll put all the pieces together and get my teeth back in. I'll be back later in sport.
See you then, Tim, after the break on 10. Murderer unmasked. One of the world's most notorious serial killers admits to his crimes. And how Border Force intercepted these gun silencers imported from China. One of the most notorious serial killers in American history has finally confessed to his vicious crimes after almost 50 years. The Golden State Killer, Joseph DeAngelo, a former cop, raped and murdered his way across California.
Wheeled into a makeshift courtroom, a frail and fading 74-year-old Joseph James DeAngelo faced more than 150 surviving victims and their families whose lives he terrorised as a younger man.
Joseph James DeAngelo, is that your true and correct name, sir?
Yes, Your Honour.
One by one, prosecutors detailed his horrific crime spree, painting the picture of a monster.
13 known murders and almost 50 rapes between 1975 and 1986.
After raping her, the defendant fired his handgun into the back of Deborah's head.
The judge asking DeAngelo to respond to each one.
Guilty.
Watching on was Chris Pedretti, who at 15 years old was assaulted at knife point by DeAngelo after he crept into her Sacramento home.
We don't own that shame and we're not taking it anymore.
She was his 10th known victim. For years after, he'd move up and down California, evading seemingly incompetent authorities to carry out increasingly brazen and sadistic attacks. He was nicknamed the Visalia Ransacker, the East Area Rapist, and most notably the Golden State Killer, and was only caught in 2018 in the first high-profile case to be cracked using an open-source genealogy website.
Having sat here today and listened and sat that night of his interview, he is the real-life version of Hannibal Lecter.
Today's plea came in exchange for taking the death penalty off the table. Instead, he'll die behind bars. Painful closure for so many families.
And even though their pain is still raw and their wait was painfully long, most of them are appreciative because they saw justice today.
Adam Gleeson for 10 News First.
A Perth man's been charged with possessing dozens of weapon silencers and thousands of rounds of ammunition. Border Force officers say they intercepted several parcels sent to the 30-year-old and found the devices inside. They raided homes in Hammond Park and Munster and say they discovered several more silencers and more than 26,000 rounds of unsecured ammunition. There are green shoots in our economy, with employment starting to pick up after the COVID-19 shock. Charlotte Goodlett has all the details on the day in finance.
The last few months have been full of bad news for the job market. Tens of thousands of roles being cut and even more people being put on JobKeeper. But a little bit of encouraging news today, with payroll figures from the Australian Bureau of Statistics showing a gradual improvement. In fact, almost 1 in 3 jobs lost during COVID-19 have been recovered. Let's take a look at what's happened in the last month. Overall, payroll jobs have increased by 1%. Accommodation and food services recovered more than any other industry, up 3.8%, but still significantly down on pre-lockdown numbers. Jobs for young people are also increasing faster than they are in any other age group. Right now, unemployment is at 7.1% overall, and we will get an update on that number in a couple of weeks' time. Now, have you ever heard of Etherstack? Well, it's a wireless technology company. This morning, it was worth a modest 12 cents. At the close, just a smidge higher, up more than 1,300% after announcing it was teaming up with Samsung. The rest of the market didn't have those kinds of gains, but yesterday's losses were recouped. It was up about 1.4% at the close. However, being the end of financial year, it is worth noting the share market did finish down 10.9% overall, making it the worst performance in a financial year since 2011-2012. Right now, the dollar is buying 68.5 US cents, slightly down there, but there isn't much movement against other currencies.
Wet and wintry in Perth this afternoon. Michael Schultz, how long is it going to last?
Well, there's a band of broken showers moving through the metropolitan area, and it's probably going to linger through the night into tomorrow. We stay in southwesterlies for the first half of tomorrow, so you couldn't rule out a shower or two during the course of the morning. We've had 2.4 millimetres since 9 o'clock this morning. The maximum reached 19.8 around 2:30. The overnight minimum at 10 to 4 this morning was 15.2. And around the area, it was reasonably cool through the hills, 16 degrees for most. most towns and locations, and it was only 15 degrees at Carnot today. It got up to 21 degrees up to the north at Lancelin. Around the state, 15 at Carnot and Shannon was the lowest maximum. 34 was reached at Columbaroo and West Roebuck in the Kimberley. And tomorrow you can see the front that is affecting us at the moment moves through the Bight. The ridge of high pressure starts to form, but those southwesterlies still dragging in those few showers. But we'll talk more about that at 5 to 6.
Until then, Michael, ahead on 10 News. Pandemic potential, the new strain of swine flu that has scientists worried. And guns drawn, an American couple in trouble over their response to a protest march. China's parliament has passed a controversial national security law giving it sweeping new powers over Hong Kong. The parliament in Beijing unanimously approved the law, which further empowers the Communist Party to crack down on Hong Kong's pro-democracy activists. It follows more than 12 months of often violent anti-Beijing unrest. Details of the law are expected to be made public later tonight. A judge in the US says he might have to shift the trial of the police officers accused of the killing that triggered Black Lives Matter protests across the globe. It comes amid growing anger as the coronavirus death toll continues to rise.
The United States of anger. With a quarter of the world's known coronavirus cases and a quarter of the world's known deaths, rage is exploding in unexpected ways.
Democratic pigs! All of you!
Many are furious at pressure to wear masks in public.
So anyone harassing me to wear a mask, you guys are violating federal law. You get that? Get that on camera.
The Vice President is now wearing them.
We encourage everyone to wear a mask in the affected areas.
But the President won't be seen dead in one. His critics say that sends a deadly message.
Let the President lead by example and let the President put a mask on it.
The sharpest spikes in infection rates are now in states that voted Trump in 2016.
I'm very concerned about large parts of our country, especially Arizona, Texas, Florida, South Carolina.
Authorities disdained restrictions early on. Now they're being strengthened as reality bites.
We are having to send patients 50, 60 miles far away just to get them a bed.
It's not just a pandemic that's disturbing America. Congress took the unusual step of hearing from an Australian, describing the moment police attacked her and her cameraman outside the White House.
The line of police suddenly and without warning began charging forward at a sprinting pace. A park police officer who was passing us stopped, turned towards Tim and rammed him in the chest and stomach with the edge of his riot shield.
Meanwhile, the police officers charged with the killing that triggered months of protests were in court. Derek Chauvin, who kept his knee on the neck of George Floyd until he died, appeared by video link.
They had control of him breathing or not breathing, and you saw what they did.
The murder case goes to trial next March. Hugh Rimmington for 10 News First.
Medical researchers have identified another flu with pandemic potential. It's a strain of swine flu carried in pigs and was also discovered in China. Scientists claim it has all the hallmarks of a disease that can be transmitted between humans. While it's not yet considered a threat, there are calls for a vaccine to be developed. The European Union is opening its borders to Australians as it tries to get its summer tourism season back on track. We're among 15 countries, including New Zealand, whose citizens have been deemed safe to let in from tomorrow. But don't get too excited. The Australian government still has an overseas travel ban in place and doesn't intend to lift it anytime soon. Donald Trump has retweeted this video showing an armed couple reportedly protecting their home from protesters in St Louis. According to local reports, the crowd had broken through a gate into a private community. The couple, both high-profile lawyers, claim they were defending their property. Police have launched an investigation while the couple has quickly become an internet meme. A new study has found surface air temperatures on the South Pole are rising at 3 times the global rate. Researchers published their findings in the Nature Journal, which show a 0.6 degree increase each decade over the last 30 years. The global average since the 1990s is about 0.2 degrees a decade. Stay with us after the break. Near miss, how a police officer survived this highway crash. And the teenage tech stars making millions and even employing their dads. The top stories here on 10 News First. Crews have battled treacherous surf in the search for a missing student near Yallingup. Heng Yi Go was swept into the sea when a freak wave knocked him off rocks at the Injured-Up Natural Spa late yesterday. An international manhunt's underway after another alleged public sector corruption scandal. WA police say a mother and father fleeced more than $1 million of taxpayer money from Fremantle ports. Their children have also been charged. And a damning report's laid bare the ongoing dysfunction at the scandal-plagued city of Perth. The 2-year investigation ended today with a possibility of criminal charges being laid. Artificial intelligence rather than divorce lawyers could be the key to helping couples streamline their separation. A new online service launched today promises to amicably settle divorce disputes from property to parenting arrangements without the legal bills.
Splitting up and splitting assets, a tough task for couples planning to separate.
It's probably one of the most stressful things you're doing.
Anthea went through her divorce a few years ago, and while it was civil, she wishes she'd had a guide for how to get through it.
I think it would have been great. It's the kind of thing that I was looking for, just to know what was reasonable, where did we start.
Now, a new federally funded website will keep the conflict out of the courtroom. The $3 million Amica platform launched today to help people settle their disputes without hefty legal bills.
The government's absolutely committed to improvements in the family law system that will make the system cheaper, faster and less stressful.
An amicable couple who's able to go through this could save thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Once each party has put in their information, the site gives advice on how best to share parenting duties and uses artificial intelligence to divide property.
We'll provide a suggested split of a couple's assets based on their circumstances, agreements reached by couples in similar situations, and how courts generally handle disputes of the same nature.
That people who are not able to accept that division at least has an idea of what might happen if they go to court.
While couples looking to legally divorce will need to apply through the family court to finalise it, this tool helps to streamline the process and keeps a record of the arrangements made during the separation period. People can use the website for free until the end of the year. Some fees will apply from January. Tiffany Warren for 10 News First.
A Sydney police officer's escaped serious injury during a terrifying crash. He was pulled over on the side of a busy motorway conducting a routine stop when the driver of a semi-trailer failed to hit the brakes in time. It caused a massive pile-up, which police say could have been deadly.
And there was certainly the potential on this occasion for it to be a catastrophic outcome. He had a bit of luck on his side yesterday.
He and 5 others were taken to hospital with only minor injuries. While many businesses struggle through the pandemic, 2 Melbourne teenagers are making millions designing IT software. They're employing dozens of staff, including their dads, who both lost their jobs through the COVID cuts.
Meet Melbourne's youngest self-made millionaires. Alan and Fotios are IT entrepreneurs. Their big break was creating apps around the US election.
Everything to do with Donald Trump at the time was going viral. So we were making Trump jump, Trump dash, Trump bounce, anything to do with Trump was just hitting the top charts.
When the pair met in high school, it wasn't exactly like at first swipe.
When I first met Fotios, I disliked him.
You know, I think he was like bagging some of my apps and I was bagging his apps. And I'm like, it was like this weird rivalry.
6 years and $5 million later, they are quite the prodigy duo. COVID lockdown has increased their online traffic.
Not only does it exist, it has actually boomed.
Both their dads work in IT, so when they lost their jobs in COVID cuts, it was the perfect opportunity to repay their parents' intellectual property.
I saw my dad struggle a lot in the corporate life, and he always encouraged me in the entrepreneurial world.
As a boss, I think he's very friendly and flexible as compared to the corporate world. I really enjoy working with him in that respect.
Fotios has promoted his dad to CEO.
He's brought in corporate structures, employment contracts. He's brought in, you know, proper accounting systems, CRMs, all this stuff that I didn't know existed, that you only learn in the corporate world.
What is your son like as a boss?
Very demanding.
every day's an adventure.
Kickspan is turning six-figure profits every month, but the founders say it's not about the money.
You know, you see smiles on people's faces and stuff like that, and that's always going to give you more satisfaction than a dollar any day of the week, and that's why I love this line of work.
Natasha Exelby for 10 News First.
Goss is here with sport now. An AFL club set to hub in Perth's under investigation.
This is breaking news, Mon, as we speak. A couple of Collingwood players could be in trouble for COVID-19 breaches, and one of them would be in their top 3 players. Also after the break, Richmond's Trent Cotchin and concerns leaving Victoria. Plus, Freo already has superstar Nat Fyfe missing. Now Conker and Ryan are restricted to like duties as the coach tries to come up with a winning combination. And there's nothing too crazy or zany about our play of the day, but we'll let the pictures tell the story.
115.4 millimetres, and that is about 12 millimetres below the long-term average for this current site at Mount Lawley. And we've had a little bit of rain that's already going to go into the July total. Here are the numbers since 9 o'clock this morning. Through the hills there have been some falls around 5 millimetres, up to 11 millimetres from a couple of gauges at Jarradale, 4 millimetres at Ballsbrook, and Dwelling up in the cities had 2.4. The maximum today was 19.8, the overnight minimum was 15.2. It's down to 15.8 at the moment. The winds are west-southwesterly around 11 kilometres an hour. Barometer heading for 1,015 on the rise, and relative humidity 83%. The daytime temperatures got as high as 21 up to the north at Lancelin, 20 reported at Ballsbrook, 18 at Mandurah, and 16 for most locations in the hills, but 15 at Carnot was the lowest, not only in Perth but in the state today. Outside the metropolitan area, 15 was also reported in the southwest at Shannon. 34 was the highest maximum at Columbaroo and West Roebuck in the Kimberley, and numerous cold spots last night. Mount Elizabeth in the Kimberley, Bulga Downs in the Gascoyne, Walloona in the eastern Goldfields, and also at Brookton, 6 degrees for those locations this morning. The best falls of rain were down on the western south coast between Walpole and Albany. A few locations had between 16 and 17 millimetres, and up on the central west coast, 4 millimetres recorded at Northampton. Now, the satellite images show another cold front pushing up towards the southern coastline. The rainfall totals over the wheat belt have been pretty light over the past 24 hours, 0.8 of a millimetre at Paynes Find and also at Bonnie Rock. On the chart, you can see with that next front, the winds are pretty strong near the south coast. Scale warning stays in place for tomorrow from Albany to the South Australian border. Strong wind warning from Cape Leeuwin to Albany, and also up on the west coast between Coral Bay and Denham. The showers will persist, particularly in coastal parts of the Southwest Land Division tomorrow. However, they will be easing near the west coast, and isolated showers are expected over inland parts of the Southwest Land Division, maybe up into the southwest of the Gascoyne and the west of the Goldfields once again, but any of the showers that are over inland parts of the Southwest Land Division will contract to the coast during the day. The major centres tomorrow, it's still going to be wet and windy for Albany tomorrow. Esperance expecting 15 degrees along with Albany, where it's going to be windy with the showers easing. Cloudy for Bunbury, a shower or two in Geraldton. Partly cloudy in Kalgoorlie, Newman and Port Hedland. The other locations should be sunny. Adelaide should be windy with showers tomorrow. Melbourne should have a fine day, but showers tomorrow night. Cairns a shower or two. Early fog in Canberra. The other centres should be sunny. Southwesterlies of 15 to 25 knots will ease to southeasterly under 10 knots in the afternoon. Still a big swell, southwesterly of 3 to 5 metres. High tide is a little under 1.2 metres at 1:07 in the morning. The low tide 0.7 of a metre at 22 past 4 tomorrow afternoon. Sunset at 23 past 5. Forecast for Perth is for isolated showers overnight, a shower or two, mainly tomorrow morning. After midnight, we're expecting less than a millimetre, moderating southwesterly winds becoming light in the morning and the afternoon, and 11 the minimum. The maximum should reach 16. Thursday, Friday and Saturday should be mostly sunny, 18 on Thursday, up to 23 on Saturday. Showers rolling in again on Sunday, could be a decent drop, 4 to 15 millimetres and a top at 21.
The search for a missing international student swept off rocks at Yallingup has been called off for the night. Steph Baumgartel joins us live. Steph, crews have faced wild conditions.
Monica rescue crews battled gale force winds up to 82 kilometres an hour and hazardous ocean conditions, but they weren't able to find missing international student Henry Yigo. A churning ocean with swells up to 6 metres. Normally, Injured Up Natural Spa is a popular selfie spot. Today, it was the centre of a major search for missing international student Heng Yigo.
He was swept off by a wave, managed to scramble back up onto the rock and then was hit again by another wave and wasn't seen since.
The Chinese-Singaporean national has been missing for more than 24 hours. Ocean conditions so severe, water police were restricted to only searching from the land and the air.
But the coastline is just so treacherous at the moment that all of those volunteers are wearing life vests just walking along the coast because the rogue waves come out of nowhere.
We're told the 23-year-old was in Dunsborough to celebrate the end of university exams.
His companions who were with him at the time are quite distressed about what happened. They were helpless to assist their friend.
Heng Yigo's family live overseas. Reduced flights due to coronavirus mean the earliest they can get to Perth is Friday.
It's quite a struggle for the family being so far away at the moment.
Monica, the search has been called off this evening due to safety concerns for the volunteers, but it is expected to continue tomorrow.
Thanks, Steph. Steph Baumgartel, live for us in Yallingup there. The City of Perth has just voted on whether or not the 2021 Australia Day Skyworks will go ahead. Amelia Simpson joins us now live from the city. Amelia, what's been decided?
Well, Monica, fireworks fans will be happy to hear that the City of Perth has decided that the Sky Show will go ahead despite uncertainty around COVID-19. Now, just moments ago, commissioners here at Council House voted unanimously to push ahead. Next year's fireworks will happen, but with some modifications to make it safer. Suppliers for the event who can take the risk of the event being cancelled at the last minute due to COVID-19 will be favoured, and the city will begin a campaign to educate the public on the importance of hygiene and physical distancing, while transport will be organised to reduce overcrowding. The Christmas nativity will go ahead as usual and the New Year celebrations in the city, but they will be organised this time in a way to encourage people to spread out. Now, again, Monica, City of Perth has decided that the Skyworks will go ahead, but with some changes to make it safer during the pandemic.
OK, thanks, Amelia. Fremantle Ports has been rocked by an elaborate multi-million-dollar corruption scandal. The scam was allegedly devised by an employee who's accused of fleeing the country with his wife. The couple's children have since been charged.
Perth parents turned international fugitives, Giacomo and Daniela Morello, wanted by police, their children already charged.
If the Morellas believe that being outside of the country is going to place them in a safe haven to avoid justice in this state, they are mistaken, because we will track them down and we will locate them.
Investigators say Giacomo used his high-ranking position at Fremantle Port to potentially siphon millions of dollars through shell companies for him and his family. It's alleged he and his wife fled to South Africa in March when they realised authorities were closing in.
The father and the mother are overseas, leaving their children here to hold the can for them.
Paolo and Tiziana Marola fronted court this morning, charged with 9 offences.
Do you know where your parents are at the moment?
Their mum and dad accused of another 81 charges.
So we are in the infancy of the investigation, and it is very likely that that value will grow and the number of charges will grow.
Giacomo allegedly stole the money during a 6-year period while in charge of purchasing navigation equipment for Fremantle Port. He was stood down from his role in February.
This is not the way we do business, it's not the way we want to do business, and it is incumbent on us to ensure that we take the appropriate steps to make sure this can never happen again.
Police are investigating if any local contractors were involved. Nathan Brooks for 10 News First.
The West Australian newspaper is in hot water after publishing a cartoon strip using racist Aboriginal slurs. The paper today tried to explain its actions, but some say it's breached the Racial Discrimination Act.
A cartoon strip no one found funny.
It was disgusting and very, very hurtful to the Aboriginal community.
The West Australian published this Modesty Blaze strip in the Monday edition of the paper. It uses a highly offensive racist term twice and compares an Indigenous man with a dog.
It's just wrong. It's offensive and it's an insult.
Social media users blasting the newspaper. Absolutely disgusting, one wrote. Does anyone proofread the West Australian? Another asked. Champion Eagle Nick Natanui weighing in, saying surely someone has to be held accountable. The West responded, saying offensive and racial stereotypes have no place in our newspaper. The cartoon was written in 1981 and was supplied by an outside agency.
Very disappointing. It was nothing like an apology, which I would have expected.
But Aboriginal Affairs Minister Ben Wyatt says he accepts it was a mistake. The question is, did the West Australian break the law? Under the Racial Discrimination Act, it's unlawful to insult, humiliate or offend a person or group based on their race. That includes by drawings, images or written publications.
They need to be held accountable for what's published in their newspaper and be responsible for that.
The paper says it's reviewing the inclusion of Modesty Blaze. Brendan Crew for 10 News First.
A Perth man who caused the death of a friend through his own reckless driving says it was the biggest mistake of his life. Philip Nemec was behind the wheel of the stolen Ferrari and trying to outrun police when he lost control.
A fiery end to a reckless joyride. Driving the high-powered $500,000 Ferrari was Philip Nemec. This dashcam played during sentencing submissions today shows the luxury vehicle speeding on the wrong side of Vincent Street in North Perth, tailed by a police car. Seconds later, the Ferrari crashes into a barrier and bursts into flames. The female passenger who died had no idea the car was stolen. The court heard how 38-year-old Nemec stole the car from West Perth in May last year, but after taking it, had to use YouTube to work out how to change gears. He's pleaded guilty to manslaughter. His speeding and drug-affected, dangerous driving caused the woman's death. Philip Nemec said at the time he felt completely capable of controlling the car, but he now accepts full responsibility for the deadly crash that killed his friend. He says it was the biggest mistake of his life. Nemec will be sentenced in 2 weeks. Lee Steele for 10 News First.
A brawl's erupted outside a shopping centre in Perth South. At least 9 people were involved in the fight, which broke out on Pace Road in Medina yesterday afternoon. One man had to be taken to Royal Perth Hospital with cuts to his arm and head, but wasn't seriously injured. Police are asking anyone with information to come forward. A damning report has found the City of Perth was infected with animosity and division when former Lord Mayor Lisa Scafidi was at the helm. The 2-year-long investigation has finally wrapped up, with some councillors now facing criminal charges.
A mammoth report after the most comprehensive investigation into a local government in the state's history.
This brings to an end essentially what has been a sorry saga.
The City of Perth Council was suspended in March 2018 after claims of ongoing scandal and infighting. After a 2-year investigation, the findings are damning.
Overall, the city was poorly led, badly governed, dysfunctional, and as a result failing in its most important duty of all, to properly serve the needs and interests of its community.
It's found councillors interfered with election processes, made decisions to advance personal interests and misused entitlements. The report scathing of then Lord Mayor Lisa Scafidi.
She too often encouraged division and factionalism.
Perhaps most alarmingly, council members and senior executives are among 23 people referred to state and Commonwealth authorities for matters concerning suspected criminal activity. The inquiry made over 250 findings with 341 recommendations.
This report needs to be an important wake-up call, essentially, for all local governments in Western Australia.
An election for new councillors will be held on October 17. Jessica Brown for 10 News First.
Melbourne's coronavirus hotspot suburbs have been put back into lockdown as the government struggles to get on top of the state's COVID-19 crisis. From midnight tomorrow, residents in 10 postcodes covering dozens of suburbs will have to stay home.
Well, this is the situation Victoria was trying to avoid, but it's now recording daily infection rates that haven't been seen since the pandemic first reached Australian shores back in March. Today, there were 64 new cases, and that has prompted the Premier to act. The 35 hotspot suburbs identified are now going back into lockdown, and for the next 4 weeks, people who live in them will only be able to leave their homes for one of the 4 essential services. Victoria Police will patrol them heavily and even set up booze bus style blitzes to try to catch anyone leaving or attempting to enter. Hefty on-the-spot fines will be handed out to anyone who's caught. Our Chief Health Officer describes all of this as heartbreaking, and the Premier, Daniel Andrews, says he didn't want it to get to this, but he's been left with no choice.
If we do not do this now, then I won't be locking down 10 postcodes, I will be locking down all postcodes.
Now, genome sequencing has revealed that most of this fresh outbreak can be traced back to security staff working inside quarantine hotels who breached infection protocols. So the Premier has asked the PM to divert all overseas flights into Melbourne for at least the next 2 weeks. And he's also set up an investigation to work out how this happened, which will be headed up by a former judge.
Candice White there. More sport now with Tim Gossage and a new look Formula One.
This is real good, actually, Mon. Yeah, significant, and it involves the ever-powerful Mercedes team and their #1 driver, Lewis Hamilton. And also tonight we hear from our new Brownlow medal favourite.